Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest World of ZZT livestream. I'm your host, tour guide, and Museum of ZZT curator, Dr. Das, and today we are going once again beyond worlds into the world of Trixie Glimmer Smith here, where we are hopefully going to finish this one today. I think there's only like an hour left, if Will is to be trusted, and frankly I can't think of anybody more trustworthy than Will. Conveniently, I kind of, realized that, oh yeah, there's a back button. It's great. I can just start at a point more relevant to where I saved. And we can jump right on board with where we were. We just got done checking out the horrible House of Mold once more. It didn't go so well. We have reason to believe Nikita is gonna, open a portal and kind of accidentally end the world, but for now, Gregg is texting us, and that's going to take priority here. Let's see what Trixie is in for this week. I'm going to do the thing tonight. Can you come down and help? Wait, I have stuff on. Nope. I need to get those pastries made, and running around all week means I'm already behind schedule. I'm doing it tonight. It's time for the ritual. You don't have to come. I can do it alone. Props won't work anyway, right? No, I'm coming. Wait for me. See, her priorities are just really bad, which seems to be a big part of a lot of her problems and the problems around her that she is otherwise capable of solving. Felt like I should go deal with Nikita, but I realized there wasn't anything I could do to prepare. I was exhausted and could barely think. All I could do was wait for tonight, the full moon. Couldn't let Gregg perform that ritual alone. Sure, it might be pointless, but if not, Gregg needed someone there who could deal with this kind of thing. Known occult expert Trixie. At least could try to deal with it. Oh, right, again, I keep forgetting to unmute. I'm still not hearing music, though. I'm seeing audio. Does it get louder? I might have just picked a bad frame to enable the music on. That was a noise. I heard that noise. Give us the jams. Okay, I hear an ominous noise in the background, so I think we're actually A-okay here. Alright, Gregg waited. This was my last chance to stop Gregg from doing anything they might regret. Having meddled with dark forces, I knew it wasn't worth the risk. Gregg, before you do anything, are you sure this is a good idea? Just think for a moment. If it is real, you really want to make some kind of deal with an ancient, unknowable woodland god? I mean, we've come this far, right? And if this is what it takes to save the bakery, yes, I'm doing it. Oh, okay. I'm not much of a negotiator. She really isn't. But look, I got everything ready while you were on your way. They pointed to a mixing bowl of cheese-baked ingredients. Now all we need to do is add a hair. I'm super self-conscious, so you should look away, haha. So, just turn around for a minute, and I can pull a hair out, okay? Sure, Gregg? Turn around. This was weird. Since when was Gregg anything even approaching self-conscious? What were they hiding? I heard Gregg let out a little whimper. I felt bad for them. Pulling hair sucked. Okay, Trixie, it's ready. Oh no, they're crying. I took a look. I couldn't see any hair, but there was a small splash of red liquid seeping into the pastry. That pretty much confirmed my suspicions that this ritual wasn't quite as innocent as Gregg was letting on. I felt uneasy, but it was too late now. Gregg wasn't going to be talked out of this. Gregg nervously placed the tray into the oven. Saw the effigy was already inside. We were ready. So you're sure about this? I mean, it's our last chance to stop, just in case it is, real? I'm sure. I can't let my bakery shut down. I have to take this risk. You can go, Trixie, if you don't want to be here. Part of me wanted to. Most of me, in fact. But I had to say, whether it was to make sure Gregg was safe or to satisfy some kind of terrible curiosity, I still don't know. I'm staying. We started this together and we'll finish it together. I'm pretty sure I just stole that from like every movie ever, but it seemed fitting. Yay. Thank you, Trixie. I was briefly worried Gregg was going to hug me, but fortunately the excitement of the ritual seemed to be keeping them distracted. With a trembling hand, Gregg reached for the switch and flicked the oven on. I'd been expecting a whoosh of flame, the sound of chanting, and the opening of a portal, but instead the food just seemed to bake normally. As normally as a bowl of cheese and blood sat next to a wooden skull could bake anyway. Huh, that was anticlimactic. We need to let it bake, obviously. There we go, now we get some music. Jeez, Trixie, don't you know anything about baking? Haha. As we had already clarified a few days ago, no, I didn't. But like, we just wait? I guess so. We can talk or something for a bit. It shouldn't take too long, right? We spoke for a while. It must have been a few hours at least. Well, that's... whatever you baked isn't going to come out good now. Occasionally, Gregg would check the oven. Smoke still billowed out of it, but fortunately, the bakery's extractor fans seemed to suck it all up. I don't remember anything we talked about. My mind was completely overcome with worry. Feared that any second there would be a bang and some terrible being would explode from the oven with a screech and rend me and Gregg to pieces with its claws. It's been like 3 hours, Gregg. I think maybe it's time we admit it isn't going to work. I put on my best disappointed face. Before Gregg could say anything, there was a loud bang. Eek! Ah! Our heads shot around to the oven. Something was knocking on the door from within. Oh geez, Gregg, this isn't good. Another bang. Well, I mean, we should probably let them out, if there's anyone in there. Gregg nervously pulled the oven door's handle. It swung open. A strange, cheesy membrane sack. That's a powerful phrase. A strange, cheesy membrane sack tumbled out of the oven and landed on the floor with a disgusting wet thud. It should have been revolting, but I couldn't help but feel hungry when I looked at it. It smelled delicious. Oh, I mean, this isn't quite what I was hoping for. There was a hideous noise as the sack split like wet tissue. A small pastry paw tore through the thin membrane, and from inside, a delicious-looking, friendly pastry Gregg peered out at us with big, empty eyes. I mean, they knew what they were getting into. And Gregg is clearly cool with it. An expression of delight. The strange pastry golem blinked at us vacantly. Oh, my baby, aren't you gorgeous? Let me help you up, sweet pea. Gregg held out a hand, and the strange being daintily took it and shakily pulled itself to its feet. This wasn't what you wanted. Gregg, this isn't right. You wanted infinite pastries, right? Not a creature. Yeah, no, this is okay. This works. It's still pastry, right? Gregg gently took the hand of the creature, lifting it as if to kiss it. Then, without warning, they took a bite out of it. I almost screamed, half expecting the golem to yelp or attack, but it stood there motionless, cocking its head slightly and smiling at Gregg with its strange smile. Oh wow, you really are a tasty one, aren't you? I felt queasy. The golem certainly looked delicious, and yet something about it felt wrong. Very wrong. Gregg lunged for the creature's belly, clearly in need of more of it. Gregg, this doesn't make sense. You're going to sell your clients this thing? Yep. No, I think I'll keep them. They can live with me. I don't want to get rid of them. I watched Gregg gorge themselves on the flesh of the pastry golem. Cheese and sauce ran down Gregg's body as they tore into the abomination. With every bite, the creature would heal. It was an endless supply of pastry. The ritual had worked. Kind of. Trixie, seriously, you should come try this. Gregg waved me over without even turning to face me. Something felt wrong. The more I stared at the golem, the more my mind rejected it. Its emotionless face vacantly stared at Gregg as they stuffed handfuls of pastry into their mouth, lost in their gluttony. I felt a chill run up my body, and for the first time I noticed a metallic smell. I became acutely aware that it had been present for some time. My mind blanked. I was stood alone in a dark forest clearing. Was this a dream? A vision? I still don't know. In the woods behind me, I could hear the rustling of leaves and an ominous rumbling, as though the very earth shivered in fear. I wanted to call it to Gregg, but I felt as if I'd been punched in the stomach. I could only let out a pathetic whimper. The feeling of dread had grown into a fist-sized rock in my throat, and my mind was as stormy as the clouds' folly. Trembling, I turned my head to the side, desperate to keep whatever was behind me in the corner of my eye. I saw it. A tall, thin shape stood what must have been 20 meters behind me at the edge of the clearing. The figure appeared armless, and at its highest point was a tangled mess of antlers. And worst of all were its eyes, 2 small pinpricks of amber light, enough to light its deer-like skull and wide, unblinking eye sockets. The eyes bored into me, the smell of metal turned to the smell of death, and I was sure the terrible being knew I could see it. I let out a scream and looked away, straight back into the bakery, where I locked eyes with the golem. It was a frightening sprite. It was no longer a creature of pastry. Its body was slick and red. It was a creature of meat. I could swear I saw its mouth open into a gummy grin. And yet, Gregg continued to engorge themselves on it, pulling slithers of flesh from the body and forcing them into their mouth. Their usually beautiful fur was stained with blood and bile. Trixie, for real, this is amazing. You should try some. Actually, you can get your own one. This is mine. I stepped backwards. The scene in front of me was too horrific to look at. I would like to see Trixie fail to kill a pastry monster or meat monster. I knew Gregg was too far gone. I needed to take action no matter how unpleasant it might be. This had to end. Gregg was under some kind of spell. I had to save them. I grabbed the first weapon I could find, an egg beater. I hoped it was called a beater for a reason. I charged forward and shoved Gregg. They fell to the side with a yelp of pain. I slashed through the air with the egg beater. It struck the golem with a horrid squelch and sunk into its soft flesh. It smiled at me, seemingly unbothered. Die! Please! I stabbed the egg beater into the creature again and again to no avail. It didn't care. Something struck my side and I tumbled over. Gregg had recovered and jumped me. We both rolled across the floor. I became acutely aware of how sharp their fangs were as they pinned me down. For a moment, I almost surrendered, but then realized that I was twice the size of Gregg and pushed them off of me. I didn't realize Gregg was that tiny. We both managed to stand back up and back away from each other. I'd lost my egg beater in the tussle, but looking at the golem who remained gazing into the distance, I knew it wouldn't be any use. Trixie, leave them alone. They're mine. I need them. Greg, don't you see what it is? It's not stuff you should be eating, it's... What if I was imagining it? I looked at the meat golem. Its shiny flesh glistened in the bakery's lights. It looked real, and yet we had both seen it as pastry. I see. I'd done it. Gregg was seeing things right for the first time since this terrible creature had been birthed. Or so I thought. But it's okay. I like it. They licked a trickle of blood from their cheek. They lunged at me and shoulder barged into me. Despite their small size, the surprise meant I fell to the floor once more. Gregg was going for the golem, hungry for more meat. I scrambled to my feet, intent on stopping Gregg getting another mouthful. I felt bad doing it, but I managed to trip Gregg over. They let out a little whelp as they tumbled to the floor. Owie! The golem stood there gazing at me. While Gregg was recovering, I started to push it towards the oven. It padded along on its clumsy feet, seemingly unaware of what I was doing. I bundled the golem into the oven. It seemed happy to oblige, staring at me with the same vacant expression it had been born with. I'm really sorry, horrible meat abomination, but this is probably for the best. I switched the oven onto its highest setting and leapt away, crashing to the floor. The golem was born in heat, but I hoped it could die in it too. In retrospect, I wish I had come up with an action movie one-liner. Revenge is a pastry best served burnt? I don't know. It might have lightened up the situation, but I guess at the time things were a little chaotic. My little lovely sweetie! Trixie, you... I was worried Gregg was going to rush into the flames pouring from the cracks around the oven door and hurt themselves, so I was relieved when they rushed to me and started beating me with their tiny paws instead. Gregg, stop. It's done. No more meat. You... Then we stopped tussling. We had both heard the sound coming from the oven. It's really good, that framing of just like, this is my letter for why my grades are going to be bad right now, and if I could have an extension, please. From within the burning chamber, we could hear the golem singing to itself. We let go of one another and stood together as the mournful song continued. We listened for what felt like days, mesmerized by the beautiful sound. And then, as black rancid smoke began to leak from the cracks around the metal door, it slowly died out, ending on an impossibly long and beautiful note. Ain't that just the way? I felt a serene calmness fall over me, the first time I'd felt truly calm in years. Trixie, What happened? I didn't really know where to start, but I did my best to explain everything. Gregg seemed to only remember fleeting glimpses of what had happened after we heard that dreadful knocking from the oven. Trixie, I'm so sorry for what I did. That wasn't me. I mean, it was, but I'm not normally selfish and mean and hitting you and eating meat. What did that thing do to me? I don't know, Gregg, but it wasn't your fault. That thing seemed to put some kind of evil spell on you. Well, I'm sorry anyway, Trixie. I shouldn't have dragged you into this mess. It was silly. Don't worry about it. Summoning a terrible meat golem is an easy mistake to make. It wasn't, but it seemed to make Gregg feel better anyway. For what it's worth, you're still my friend. I guess he'll have to work out some other way to keep up with those pastry orders. Yeah, that's going to suck. But hey, we both learned an important lesson. Isn't that the really important thing? Don't take shortcuts? Believe you can do it the right way? Gregg looked confused. Huh? No? Don't make dark blood pacts with woodland gods unless you want to end up eating yourself. Jeez, Trixie, haven't you been paying attention? Huh, true. Shortcuts rock. Exactly. Maybe no more stealing, though. Yeah, sure, Trixie. I'm not sure I believe them, but baby steps, I guess. So you would be okay to help me get my orders finished? Just for a few days while I work out something new? I know you're not super into baking, but like, you could help move stuff and clean and serve customers if you want. That way I can concentrate on just making sure I get enough stuff made. Sure, Gregg, I can help a little. I wasn't sure I could promise anything. Peering out of the bakery window, I could see the full moon rising. I had to stop Nikita or perish trying. I should probably get going, Gregg. I know it probably sounds pretty trivial after what we just saw, but I need to go help my friend with something. Boring uni stuff, you wouldn't be interested. Oh, I mean, sure. I can clean this place up myself. The coffee machine wasn't damaged during our tussle, so I can just drink a ton of that and power through the night. I guess I'll see you soon then. You have a good night, okay, Trixie? Yeah, definitely. See ya, Gregg. Good night, Trixie. I waved goodbye and started the long walk back to Daffodil Lane. Somebody's gotta get this girl a bike. Or a bus pass. I don't think public transit goes there. I think they actually brought that up. You know, the funny thing is, like, there are little variations in all these little arcs. And the first time I played, I took this path, and Trixie definitely was also, like, eating this horrible pastry meat monster, too. So, you know, it's just a bit of a roll of the dice. It might have just been if I tried talking him down instead of attacking the monster. Maybe she's good at violence, but bad at saying no. It might just be that. The lane was quiet. It looked like Nikita hadn't opened the gate. Yet, at least. This is the same night. Trixie, you're in for it. I walked down Daffodil Lane towards the abandoned cottage. Must have been about 1 or 2 in the morning. I feared I was too late. There didn't seem to be any sign that Nikita had been successful. Walked past Parsnip's cottage. It was quiet. He was probably tucked up in bed asleep, or whatever he does at night. Of course, I knew his secret. Parsnip was corrupted, a puppet of the King in Yellow. I knew that if I could stop Nikita, destroy that evil play, and the terrible yellow signs he had forced that rabbit to create, Parsnip would be free from his enslavement. I could save him. The abandoned cottage seemed unchanged. Could it be that Nikita hadn't come? My hopes were shattered when I stepped inside. I could hear murmuring from the basement. Nikita was here. Surrounded by candles, she stood upon the yellow sign. Oh, we getting right into it. She faced away from me, chanting to herself. I think she was trying to repeat some kind of incantation, but she kept tripping up on her words and losing her place. A small crystal sat in the center of the yellow sign, shimmering faintly in the candlelight. Well, let's do one of these then. I had to talk her out of this madness. I knew I was too weak to fight her after the night's events so far, and I'm pretty sure Nikita is more violent than she looks. Nikita... Oh, Trixie. I'm surprised you dared show your furry little face here. I assumed you'd be in your room drawing that hentai or something. I have to say, I'm impressed. I almost admire your dedication to annoying me. But you're too late. The ritual is in progress. I walk across the cloud waves to my destiny. I mean, right now you're just kind of stood there. Okay, but soon I shall walk across the cloud waves to my destiny. It's not like you're going to stop me. By all means, stay and watch my ascension, or fuck off, I don't care. I just need to wait a little longer is all. Was Nikita wrong? She seemed confused somehow. The ritual didn't seem to be going to plan. The candles had almost melted to their bases. How long had she been there? Nikita, stop. The ritual isn't working. You won't get through your gate. How about you come back to uni with me and we can talk this out? No. I will not forfeit my birthright because of your little lies. I will succeed. It's just taking a little longer than it should. I need to prove to the king. I need to show him my faith has not faltered. The one who sits on the broken throne cannot be weak. They cannot be unsure. I maybe made a mistake. The candle placement must be wrong, or maybe my pronunciation is off. She started flicking through her notepad, desperation building on her face. I was starting to doubt Nikita. I had expected her to summon up a portal of shimmering cloud and step through to her destiny. Instead, she just seemed utterly broken. Deranged. Maybe you're wrong? About the ritual? About the throne? About that play? Trixie, shut up. I know what's wrong. The one external variable? It's you. This is a test. I must prove myself. My loyalty. Well, I will not break. I swear to you, my king, from upon the broken throne I shall call forth the dread fleet, the ashen horrors of the Twilight Quarter, and the Iron Watchmen. I shall set them on Trixie and crush her. And now, my king, will you bring me the White Gate? She was serious. The malevolence in her voice was enough to kill any doubt I had that these were the words of a madwoman. Nikita had to be stopped. This ritual could not be completed. I remembered the things I'd bought with me. No, it was brought. That's their typo. They may be the only way to end this without a fight, which I was pretty sure I'd lose, or with Nikita winning, which I'm pretty sure would end with me dead. Sorry, Nikita, but it's too late. I know you haven't been chosen. Tried to sound at least somewhat sure of myself. Nikita looked pissed. That's real cute, Trixie. You finally learned to stand up for yourself. Surely you realize the smart move was to know your place and be my underling. I think I'm okay with that. I was gifted with something you were not. I held the yellow sign high above my head. Nikita smirked. Really, Trixie? The yellow sign? Look around you. She lifted her arms and spun on the spot. The world is covered in the sign. The king is everywhere. He owns us. She was right. He was everywhere. But I didn't let it dissuade me. And he chose me. And yet his servant gave me this, before you had even read his play. You were never graced with his sign. You just found those left for others. Nikita looked almost taken aback. He chose me, Nikita. No, he cursed you with it. Maybe she was right. I certainly wasn't happy to have received the yellow sign. I could see Nikita was cracking somewhat. Now shut up and tremble in your pathetic little boots as I complete my ritual. Nikita threw her arms into the air. Nothing happened. Ah. I might know why your portal isn't opening. I pulled Tabby's Psyker crystal from my bag. It shimmered with ancient magic. Nikita's crystal was nullified. What? Another crystal? Is this a trick? What are you playing at, Smith? Two Psyker crystals in close proximity? Well, they neutralize each other, right? You didn't know that? Trixie seems like she's having a lot of fun here. Actually. No, this is a trick. You're trying to trick me, Trixie. I won't fall for your Trixie's. I won't fall for your game. She stopped abruptly. She knew I was telling the truth. I guess I have an honest face. No. How did you... Oh? You obviously didn't read Reaching New Worlds very carefully. I expected better of you, Nikita. I smirked, a sight which I was worried would make Nikita attack me right then and there. Her two least favorite things, being wrong and me. That's a good line. Fuck. Nikita stomped her foot onto one of the candles, crushing it. She was getting dangerously angry. So, Miss Knight is in league with you too? How am I surprised? She will get what's coming to her. This is my destiny, Trixie. It was foretold. She lifted the king in yellow above her head dramatically. For Crystal is powerless against him. He chose me, Trixie, above everyone else. Crystal or not, the gate will open. And you will pay for your treachery. Nikita flicked through her notebook, desperately searching for any detail she might have missed. I could see her resolve breaking as she started to run out of ideas. This was a prophecy. It was foretold. She had finally realized I had stopped her evil ritual. Outsmarted, I can't be. The heir to Carcosa must be without flaw. Oh, great king, this can't be. Smith, how did you... Her face broke into a blend of fear and betrayal. I was lied to. She fell to her knees, tears streamed between her fingers. And are you forgetting, Nikita? It was me who was given the play. You had to beg me to give it to you. Trixie, you were the one he chose. None of his whispers were true. He played me like an instrument. Like Carcosa, I have been shamed, my vanity taken and crushed. Trixie, she broke down into tears. Despite everything, I pitied her. Finish the ritual. Take your place atop the broken throne. Show me mercy, I beg of you. I'm not taking the throne, Nikita. I don't want it. And I think deep down, neither do you. Let's just go back and get some rest. We can pretend this never happened. Obviously that wouldn't happen, but I wanted to keep her calm. It looked like this terrible week was finally coming to a close. So, the end, no moral. I slept well that night. Me and Nikita intend to burn the King in Yellow as soon as I finish writing this statement. When I suggested torching the play, I was worried she might snap back into her mania and try to stop me. She had nothing to say. It was like being outsmarted had totally crushed any desire Nikita had to keep up her mad charade. I'm pretty sure she'll be back to her old self once the election comes along, for better or for worse. Still, she seems to have developed some small amount of modesty, and I swear I can see a hint of respect for me in her eyes. Which I'm not entirely sure I like. It's uncanny. I've managed to keep Nikita distracted with her election work. I told her not to write my report, I wanted to do it myself, hence why I'd appreciate some more time to finish it. I've been swanning off worried messages from Gregg for the last 2 days. I think they know something is up, but as soon as I submit this form, I'm going to meet up with them. I shall not speak to them of the King in Yellow. That's a secret between me, Nikita, and you. I need to talk to them properly about that stuff with the golem and the horrible antlered tree. We both have to come to terms with the fact that the dark secrets of North Acres are not only true, but are also far more horrible than anyone imagined. And that their terrible god now knows me and Gregg as foes. The fear I feel at the thought of its retribution is matched only when recalling that night with Nikita. And the King in Yellow. Despite everything, I have to admit there is still a temptation to open it. To finish reading The King in Yellow. The end. And so she has to drop out of college, probably. I don't think she's got a very good case, unfortunately. Nothing good will come to her anytime soon. Oh, great, I'm done. I just need to take this down to the office and I can start work. Trixie, show me your statement immediately. I just realized I'm relying on you not to get me expelled with whatever you wrote on this thing. Jeez, Nikita, how'd you get in here? The door, Trixie. Wait, what is this? Why are your walls covered in writing? Oh, huh, I hadn't noticed that. Excuse me, but what the fuck? Whatever, Trixie. Either you've lost the plot, or this is one of those memes you like that I just don't get. Also, the word limit on that form is like 300. This... Look, Trixie, I respect that you've actually put some effort into something for once in your life, but as well as being written on the walls, this is way too long. What a waste of time. You can clean it up and I'll write you a less shit statement. One that will actually get read and not get us arrested in the process, because no way have you held back from talking shit about me. I'll just say you had trouble working this week because your albinism made working during the heat wave difficult. There, saved you 50,000 words. Oh, okay, Nikita. Well, time to get to work. Just as soon as I finish reading all the new Cyberdraculia reboot theories online. She's saved. It all comes full circle. Once again, Nikita saves everything. That ended up being a lot shorter than I thought. I thought we were going to get at least an hour out of that, honestly. Trixie can use a bit of help in a number of things, honestly. I don't even have the next game downloaded is the thing, and I'm honestly 50-50 on whether I want to keep going or move to something else. It is fun, but I do think this is the best of them. And spooky season is over. This went on longer than I thought. I was very incorrect and was like, yeah, we can probably get through one of these in an hour. I'll just go through the trilogy. But, you know, if you enjoyed this, the third game in the series is, of course, 3 lesbians and a barrow. That's how the polycule starts, of course. It's fun, but it's very much like a one scene kind of play thing, so there's still some horrors, I'll tell you that much. I think I will just call it, honestly. It's a little early, I know, but I don't have anything good to do after this. So thank you all for sticking around for the finale. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this is a fun game. I had a lot of fun revisiting this. I am glad that I did. And of course, if you ever happen to play it for yourselves, there's multiple other paths that you can take as well. Like, I was hanging out with Gregg, because Gregg is the coolest IMO. Well, guess that's it. I got nothing. I'm sorry, this is so abrupt. You just cut it, take us over to the end screen then. Unexpectedly short stream, I suppose. I'm still glad though that I didn't keep going last week, because I did not need another 40 minutes on top of last week. That wouldn't have been great. But then that is going to do it for this stream. I will be back again on Friday, playing a ZZT demo for an older title called The Lost, which I think is going to be silly. You're a kid lost in the woods, you have your Game Boy, you're a fan of Donkey Kong. That's about all I know. I'm going into it pretty blind, honestly. But surprisingly, it's by an author whose works I've yet to cover in any way. They have a handful of games, and I don't think that any of them were ever, like, particularly big, but it seems surprising. Because at the very least, they were around on IRC when I was, so, like, I have some familiarity with them. That'll be Friday. Next Sunday will be more Unpreserved ZZT Worlds as well. It's just got an assortment of things, and once again, there's going to be some Grand Theft Auto ZZT demo. What else was in there? A game called, like, Thug of the Jungle. And there is going to be something that I know is going to be unhinged. So that should be fun as well. And then next Monday, I have no idea. I'm going to have to make a decision on that. But thank you all for watching. Hope you don't mind this being a bit shorter. And hope to see you all next time. Later.